Well, I'll tell you what. It's 4:27 in the afternoon. Jason's still here cleaning harness for tomorrow night. We were making sure that the other horses that were sick had fluids, getting them some grass. There's nothing. Yes, there is. There's things worse, but having horses that are sick and there's nothing you can do, knowing you just have to wait, is extremely, extremely, extremely frustrating. So, you guys have seen what has gone on the last few days. West 52nd race last night, and Jason said, he's sick too. I don't doubt he's a little under the weather, but you can't drive that horse like that. And how does Ronnie know that? He doesn't know that. But you can't be 3 wide around the first turn, clear to the front, 28 and a piece. He's not that type of horse, right? But he doesn't know that. So maybe he was a little under the weather. Maybe he was a little sick. He ate his breakfast this morning. He didn't have a temperature, which seems to be the norm. Temperature is not eating or coughing. And then it seems like there's 2 viruses. Some of the horses have loads of snot in their nose for a few days, but don't spike a temperature. And other horses do spike a temperature, don't have any snot in their nose, race like shit, and don't eat after the race, and don't eat for a couple of days real good. It's difficult. You draw bloods on the horses. They're not that bad. Within the range of normality, which is false, considering what we're seeing. So, the good news is the 2-year-olds look like they're healthy. I saw them all today. I kept a very, very, very close eye on all the horses that are racing tomorrow. Looked at them multiple times throughout today. They all ate all their meals. They all had their head over their gate. None of them had any discharge of their nose. There's no coughing. So it seems like it's run its course. Now, the only downside for tomorrow night is we haven't been able to train them since the last time they raced. They jogged every day, but you can't train sick horses, or they will continue to be sick or get sicker. So they seem like they are health-wise on appearance. I'm looking at GW Chrome. GW Chrome's got his head over the gate now, looking at the gate. They seem healthy. Now, Fox Valley Britska had a ton of mucus in his nose yesterday. Didn't eat his breakfast. To my knowledge, has not spiked a temperature. He didn't have one today. We were going to train him and set his hobbles for tomorrow night, but I couldn't do that because between you and me and everybody else, I'm concerned we're going to have to scratch him also. So we haven't made that decision yet. Certainly, we haven't gone right out and said we're going to do that, but we're not racing a horse sick that has a stake race next Friday. We can go easy on him and train him. He's supposed to go to Indiana Sunday. We can train him up a little bit on the weekend, not in a racing situation. Put it this way, is he fit to race tomorrow? I'm skeptical. So that will be a game time decision tomorrow. That will be decided by the veterinarian, by a thermometer, by the horse himself. Has he eaten his breakfast? Has he eaten his lunch? Has he spiked the temperature? Does he seem good? We've still raced some horses like Desperado that didn't spike a temperature, ate just fine, and probably couldn't race any worse. So I would say I'm very skeptical about Fox Valley Britska tomorrow night. But we do have stake races coming up next week. We're trying to get them healthy and back on track. We had to scratch Italian Grit last night. He was coughing today. Another horse, we're trying to get over it. I think the more severe it seems at the start, the quicker they get over it. It might sound stupid. That slow grinding virus that the 2-year-olds had was a pain in the butt. But that really aggressive, faster moving virus, I think obviously gets over, burns out quicker, as they say, I guess. So hopefully Italian Grit will be fit when we are supposed to ship him. If not, he won't be shipping. So right now, tentatively scheduled, we have 3 horses in next week in Indiana. That's my girl, Drew the Rail. She coughed this morning and did have a temperature this morning. We were going to school her. We trained her. We opted to train her light. She trained good. She ate her lunch. She seems bright, but it's there. It's in the barn. As I said, the only silver lining, I guess we'll see tomorrow night, but the 2-year-olds might be a little shorter than we'd like to have them, but at the same time, they appear very healthy. So that's good. The reason for this video to start with, talked for 4 minutes about nothing other than sickness, which we're all well aware of, The purpose of this video was to talk about the horses that sold last night. All in all, in the 24 hours surrounding the sale, 9 of the 10 horses sold. So that's pretty good. Pretty good night for us. A little less than we thought we'd get for a couple. A little bit more than we thought we'd get for a couple other ones. And we'll go through them right now in alphabetical order. Enduring Strength sold. We did end up selling him for $13,000. These are U.S. funds, so pretty good. I think pretty fair considering all things considered. He will race tonight for the new owners in Ontario, and then he'll switch hands at Mario's barn right after. So he sold for $13,000 American. You might say to yourself, "Hey, you're not allowed to race a horse when it's in, sell a horse when it's in to go." That's false. You are allowed to sell a horse in public auction. I know because I asked the judges of Ontario if we could do it. So Enduring Strength sold in public auction last night. He will change hands after the race. Mario Bergeron will race him. Excellent Nation sold for $8,900, again US. I think that's fair considering how infrequently you can get in at Northfield Park right now and how fast they are going. The one low point of the night, I guess, Forged in Fire. I get why he sold for $5,000. Mathematically, we couldn't keep him. It was just impossible. There was nowhere to race him. Unless I was going to turn him out and aim for the fall into the winter, there was nowhere to race Forged in Fire, and I couldn't feasibly do that. So he was a horse that was going to be sold regardless. He sold for $5,000. Gentleman in Indiana I just spoke to via email bought him. Hopefully he does good with him. Overdue Mission. The reserve was 75, and she went for 75, but it said reserve not met. Thought that was odd. And then one a gentleman called and said there was a screw up, and he actually bought the horse for $7,500. And so I think it was just a timing issue. She ended up being sold for $7,500. Truthfully speaking, of the horses we sold, I think the one that got the least amount for what I thought they would get was Overdue Mission. I really thought that this is a better filly than $7,500 purchase, but at the same time, yes, she fits a maiden in Ohio. Outside of that, slim pickings. So it was just a matter of timing for her. When it came to, let me get out of this guy's way. When it came to Overdue Mission, I think that was aside from the Forged in Fire thing, but that just had to happen. Aside from that, Overdue Mission was, I think we were shortchanged a little bit, but it's a sale. What are you going to do? It happens. And then we went to Rose Run Valiant. Rose Run Valiant sold after the sale. A couple of horses did sell after the sale. Rose Run Valiant, our reserve was $14,000. I thought that was in fair market terms. I think that was a seller's price, but he was a horse that could do some damage in the near future, maybe if we found the right class and got him under control. So it worked out all right in that regard. Rose Run Valiant was sold for $13,000, not $14,000, but nevertheless, it happened. Now, a horse that I think we got a little more than I thought we would. The reserve was $12,000, which I thought was maybe a little bullish. Maybe was sometimes things happen, and he ended up going for $13,100. I think that was I more than fair. I think it was on the high end of fair, but at the same time, I guess not disappointed. Again, you're not seeing this from, a lot of you are not seeing this from the same point I am. I need to look at entry points to race, right? When we can race, where we can race, what will happen when we race, what venue will that be, and I can't answer any of those questions. These horses, all these horses on this list, don't have an opportunity to win in the near future. That's really the easiest way for me to put it to you. The horses that sold last night, I don't see them winning a race in the near future. Maybe Rose Run Valiant. Sometimes things happen. Allergies are bothering him. He was bleeding a bit. I don't see him coming out swinging for a little while. Forged in Fire, I don't think there's a class for him. Excellent Nation is up a class. Enduring Strength, he's not a grassroots horse. Rose Run Valiant, maybe. Surreal Love, going to have a tough time racing him. In New York, if you find it, I just talked to the guy that bought him actually a little while ago. Happens to be the same guy that bought Susie K after the sale. Talk to you in a minute about that. So, Surreal Love is a horse in New York, as he said, well, you know, a place like Monticello, which isn't racing right yet, but he could do some good, and I think he's probably right, but that is what I'd said all along. You know, Saratoga, Monticello, somewhere where you can, you know, race him every week in a diminished capacity. What I mean is like an easier maiden, in with his own kind, so to speak, and I think he'd be fine. He's a 59 2-minute pacer. That's what he is. So, Enduring Strength, decent price. Excellent Nation, decent price. Forged and Fire, a little unfair to him, but that's just circumstances. Overdue Mission, low end, the very lowest end of fair market, I think. Rose Run Valiant was a fair price. Sometimes Things Happen might have been a little above fair price. Surreal Love, a little less than what I thought we'd get, but again, much like Forged and Fire in a much different capacity, just circumstances with him. And then the one horse we didn't sell, we retained, Rito Sunshine. That isn't for any other reason other than I can't give the horse away. He's a colt that qualified in 58, in the mud, last quarter in 29. He has ability. I'm just not giving him away. So we retained Rito Sunshine for now. I did leave him on the sale board in Standard Break Canada. We will prep him and get him ready for the next prospect series, hopefully, prospect lag, but at the same time, I'm not just going to flat out give horses away. Now, as I said, Susie K didn't sell last night. 7,200. I had a reserve of 8,000 on her. And the gentleman that bought happens to be in the next shed row. So Sometimes Things Happen was bought by somebody 2 shed rows over from us right now at Northfield Park. Surreal Love was, and now Susie K, was bought by somebody who's in the next shed row to us at Northfield Park. So I guess it helps to advertise at home too. Those 2 horses sold. Susie K was a fair price. I think the right in the meaty part, as I said, right up around where our reserve was. And then obviously the Fat Cobra, again, you're talking about a very similar situation to Forged and Fire. I just can't fathom a place he's going to win a race right now. So I like the horse. Got a great attitude, a great demeanor. One of our former clients bought the horse, and I wish him all the luck in the world with him. I think he could grow into be a decent horse, so hopefully they purchased him for a little bit of a long-term project. I think short-term, he's going to be okay, maybe. Long-term, he could be much better. So I wish them all the luck in the world with Fat Cobra. All in all, decent sale. Put 10 up for sale. We sold 9 of them. So pretty hard not to be okay with that. So as I said, dealing with the virus down here, I think, it's better. I see a couple of horses that are sick. I'm worried that a couple of horses are getting sick. I'm terrified that That's My Girl is getting sick. But at the same time, if she gets sick, she gets sick. You can't hide from it. One of our clients, and a very fair suggestion and question was, why don't we bypass Northfield and send her to Indiana? No problem. They're sick there too. So the place she's going to, a gentleman said there's a couple of sick horses around that area. I know Tim Twaddle's got some sickness. Said there's going to be sickness all around Pennsylvania. It's lots in Ohio. We have some horses that are sick in Ontario, and there's tons of horses at a couple other training centers. I've talked to trainers in Ontario, said they are really sick. I think the biggest problem is the vets try to treat them, and if that particular antibiotic doesn't work right away, it just runs rampant, right? And I think that's what happened here. Nobody's fault. It was a broad-span antibiotic they tried to treat the horses with, and they didn't respond well. Certainly nobody's fault. Certainly not the vet's fault. They're doing the best job they can. It just didn't happen to work out. So I think we had a number of horses we put on Exceed. I believe it was Exceed, and it didn't seem to help that much. XNL was mostly useless in Ontario. We have That's My Girl and a couple other horses on Jennison, which is a different kind of antibiotic altogether. And hopefully that will help. Now, I will say this. That's My Girl's been on Jennison for 2 days. She did cough a little bit this morning. Her eating habits are a little diminished, but pretty good. And she's in good spirits. She got her head over the gate. She ate everything I gave her a little while ago. So that's good. So hopefully we're on the right track with her. We got 5 days and a ship to Indiana. So certainly not ideal circumstances in any way, shape, or form of the word. And as I said to Doug Rideout is going to be our trainer. I've known Doug for quite a while in the same circles. We're not pen pals or anything, but Doug's a good trainer, does well in Indiana, and I spoke to him about That's My Girl. We were going to put her in a maiden, or as they had like a 2-year-old Indiana filly maiden that went for 10. There was a straight 2-year-old filly maiden that went for 75, and then there was a sire stakes. I said, well, with everything going on, let's not put her in the sire stakes. Put her in the $10,000 one. She doesn't get in, put her in the other maiden. Calls me at 11:30. Said, the one for 10 didn't fill. The maiden for 75 is not filling. He said, so at sire stakes, we're not racing at all. I could pick not racing at all, but as I said to him, she'll either be over this virus and approaching 90 or 100% by Tuesday evening, or she won't. So if she's not, we'll scratch her, and we'll have to pay the starting fee of $500 American. But I'll give her the opportunity to. Again, circumstances. We talk about circumstances with Forged in Fire. Certainly can talk about them in the other side of that coin is we didn't have anywhere to race That's My Girl if we didn't put her in the Sire Stakes. So we opted for the Sire Stakes, and she drew the rail. Good luck. It's great good luck for us, which is a rare thing. I just assumed we had the 8 or 9 hole when we entered her. That's what we've been drawing. So to draw the rail is good, but it may be short-lived if we don't get to race. So that is it for us today. I had a video yesterday. You guys have probably watched it now. I forgot to load it. I'm sorry. So now you have both videos, the one explaining all the stake races from the first start of the week, and now the one explaining the sale from last night. As I said, probably some people out there still not understanding why we sold the horses. As I said, the easiest way to look at this overall is we have the ability to be more fluid in the stable, right? I always talk about how this industry moves slowly. It's flat-footed, it's complacent, and it can't maneuver quickly. If I have the ability to, we should. I can look 3-4 months down the road at every horse we sold and say, you are going to be paying us to train those horses for the next 4 months. They're not going to make any money. I don't think they're going to win any races. There's too many horses racing right now. They're going too fast right now because of that, and I think it makes it very difficult to race horses like the ones we sold last night. I might be wrong. There are some horses I'm going to keep a close eye on that I think could do very good. Rose Run Valiant, I know somewhere inside there is a horse. Overdue Mission, I think, was close to coming back to a decent form of last year. But for the other horses, for the most part, sometimes things happen. It's a nice colt, but he's got to get over these allergies. You got to be able to stop him up. And Amy Holler and Calvin have him, and I wish them all the luck. He's a nice colt, and I love Sticks. Got a great attitude, great work ethic, and he's just great to be around. So I wish them all the luck. I just think they're going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So that is what has taken place yesterday. That is the sale video. You guys know what's going on now. I explained a little bit more of my frustrations with the virus at the start of the video, but as I said to our clients today, what we do now, what we do when the horses are sick will dictate how they race for the rest of the season. If we pretend they're not sick and race them anyway, you're hurting them. You're putting them in a bad spot. If you don't let them completely get over it, you can potentially be jeopardizing a good portion of their season. So you have to take your time, be patient, bite your lip, swear a little bit under your breath, and wait for them to get over it. So that's where we're at right now. Some horses are over it. As I said, the 2-year-olds racing tomorrow in Scioto are over it. I believe they are, but they're not tight. They jogged, but they didn't train at all hard in between. They couldn't. So there has to be some give and take. Now, I would suggest that they're going to race against some sick horses tomorrow too. So hopefully we have the upper hand and we can get some money tomorrow night. It would be great. Most importantly, get these horses back on track so we can see the best form of the horses we have in Ohio in the near future. So I'm almost back to where I'm staying. I hope you guys had a good day. It was a pretty good day. Crappy day for, I'll touch on this quickly. We did qualify some horses this morning in 2 different states. We attempted to qualify Path of Totality, made a break in Pennsylvania. I am livid over this. Nobody to blame but her, mostly, and the fact that last week I had a flat tire and couldn't get there to qualify her. This week I had a suspension. I felt so stupid too. I had somebody come up to me and say, why aren't you out there going with your horses? I said, I got to drive in suspension. Well, if you're suspended from driving in the races, you can still qualify here in Ohio. So I sat there and watched Let's Roll On and Well and Down qualify. And I guess I could have went with them. You can't in Ontario. You're suspended. So I got a little chuckle out of that after the fact. Then I thought down to Pennsylvania and the break that Path of Totality made, and I was very angry. So Let's Roll On qualified good at Northfield, half-mile track. He'll be racing next week in Bucyrus, I think, in the Sire Stakes, the Buckeye, which is cool. We won there last year with Overdue Mission. Well and Down qualified well. Somebody said, well, she only come 31-2. Let me tell you something. Well and Down has had a tough start. She was sick last week. I haven't been able to train her hard since she trained at Mohawk before she left for here. She qualified today because she had to, or she wasn't eligible, or she couldn't race in the Buckeye, potentially. I wasn't going to take any more chances from the judges. So I said, no, enough's enough. Put her in to qualify. We got her healthy. She hasn't coughed in a few days. She's been eating good. We qualified her. They went hot fractions in front of her. She went a mile in 59 last quarter and 31 because she was tired when she went under the wire. Athletes can't sit on the couch and not work and then go out and play at their best. Welland Down had a tough morning, but took it like a champ and ate all her lunch and looked like $1 million afterwards. She paced well. She behaved well. She did everything exceptionally good today. I don't care if she comes 31-2 or not. I know why she comes 31-2, because she was tired. She was barely ready to qualify, but now she is. Now she's ready to go, and nobody can complain or whine or call us on the phone about it. She's there now. So, Welland Down qualified today, qualified well. If you're worried about 31 seconds on the end of it, don't. That's all. She was ready to go. Let's Roll On qualified well also. And unfortunately, Path of Totality made a break, but I would suggest she will not make a break next week. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Stay safe.